Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today we're taking a look at more of your custom cards. And before we hop into things, if you want to take a look at even more of your custom cards, then check out my Discord server, and there's a custom cards, I think it's called Custom Cards Submission and Voting. And even if you don't make custom cards, you can go ahead and look at the custom cards and then vote. You just like react with, I think it's an up arrow or something, and you just do that. And then once the cards reach a certain amount of votes, then I will go over the cards. And at some point, I will be playing with these custom cards. I need to get that figured out. But that'll be hopefully soon. So anyways, let's just hop into these cards though. First of all, we have Dhelmise EX. I don't believe we looked at this card yet. It was with a couple other cards that were they had looked at. But Dhelmise EX here, 230 HP on a basic. The grass Pokemon anchored is its ability. When this Pokemon is in the active spot, it cannot be forced to switch, and it takes 80 less damage from attacks. This is kind of interesting. I'm not 100% sure. Like, this is a little weird. It's not that complicated, but I'm assuming so you can't like escape rope. Escape rope's not for it. You can't iron bundle it. And then I guess you can't boss it. That's what I'm assuming. It's a little. We've seen effects, and we haven't really seen effects exactly like this. But regardless, this is definitely pretty strong ability. Taking 80 less is a lot, or is a noticeable amount less, and not being able to be gussed around is also good. That's something that is. We see Diancie. Diancie is kind of like it, except it only stops supporters. So right now in the current standard format, people aren't really playing Diancie because you could just prime catch, which is played a lot. You could also counter catch her, though. That's less likely if you're not attacking. If it's less likely that your opponent will counter catch her if you're not attacking them. And then also, yeah, I mean, and then Iron Bundle as well. That one, I believe, goes around Diancie. I think it stops supporters. I don't know if it stops other things. And also, it only protects basics. So, anyways, this is a card which is pretty strong with its ability. I don't think it's just broken based on the ability, but it's pretty good. And then Steel Frame Smash for Grass Colorless 160 if this Pokemon has any metal energy attached. This attack is also metal type and deals 30 more damage. I might have talked about this card before. I'm not sure. But I think I just looked at it, but regardless, attacks aren't metal, so it should be like this Pokemon is metal type. I think that's what I believe. It should say like until the end of your turn, this Pokemon is metal type. As attacks aren't, I don't have types. As far as I'm aware, I don't think that's ever been a thing, unless I'm missing it. But I've never seen it referred to in like standard or anything like that. But anyways, this is pretty strong. Well, actually, no, 30 more, 190. That's like decently strong. It's not absolutely insane. Um, these types aren't really. I don't think we're going to get into like super weird type stuff. Being dual type could cause weird things, but usually it's fine. But regardless, this card is pretty strong, but I think it's fair. And also, Grass Pokemon generally really bad, so I generally like this design a bunch. I don't know exactly why it has fighting resistance, but this might make sense. Definitely, I think messing with weakness and resistance is fine. Sometimes people forget to take them off as well. I have done that, but I don't think that's necessarily the case here. Anyways, then we have Sudowoodo EX, which is a Terra Pokemon, Terra Grass. Oh yeah, I guess it's normally fighting. And then you have Mimic, which says choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use this attack. You can't use the move Mimic during your next turn. It should say, I think, attack, but that doesn't really matter. And then Wood Hammer for Fighting Colorless, 150. If this Pokemon has any grass energy attached to it, this attack deals 100 more damage. Okay, so this is kind of similar to the Dhelmise as well in terms of what it does, but obviously a lot stronger. Ultimately, this is kind of cool. One thing I personally I feel like it could be another Terra type, but thematically it kind of makes sense to be this Terra type. I've not played much of the video game, but I've played a little bit. And then also with Woodhammer, but then being a grass type and using grass energy, I've talked about Terras a lot. At least a decent amount of time ago, I talked about them and said that I didn't like how they didn't change types. Some obviously did pretty quickly in, but then I was like, not all of them did. So this is still a Pokemon that is using grass energy on a grass Pokemon. So then the Terra feels less interesting because you are playing grass energy, so you could play grass Pokemon anyways. So you're kind of losing this type coverage thing. I don't hate it though. You still are like predominantly fighting type. And it mimics a cool attack. We've seen attacks like this, and they're cool. This might actually be really good now that I think about it. That attack's very strong. Can't be used back to back. but that's fine. I feel like you moves normally would say, or attacks excuse me, attacks would normally say that you can't use it's like, oh, you can't use it if you used it last turn. Like Tavern Tackle. I don't know, what is it? It's the Terrakion. Terrakion from Silver Tempest. It says, yeah, it can't be used if you use Tavern Tackle. No, Cavern Tackle. I don't know. Keep saying Tavern Tackle. But because Terrakion and Tackle. Anyway, so yeah, Cavern Tackle. It's kind of the same thing as Mimic here. Essentially, it's the same, but this is the wording that's used. This like effective attack isn't very common, but it is something you'll see occasionally. And I do like this. I think it would be. It's very strong. It's not an attack I expect you to be using all the time, anyways, but it does force you to do different things as well. And Fighting is a weaker type. I think this card is pretty cool. It's strong. Mimic is a strong attack. I don't think custom cards being strong is bad. I don't think it's like broken either. I think this card is definitely pretty cool. Yeah. I was like the typing, and I was confused, but no, it's a Terra. Then you have Joltik, and this goes with the Galvantula, I believe, as well. And we have Joltik with Ticklish, which says it's an ability. It also has free retreat, 30 HP, and it says once during your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may discard all cards attached to this Pokemon and attach it to one of your opponent's Pokemon as a Pokemon tool card. That the Pokemon that this card is attached to puts 2 damage counters on itself during Pokemon checkup. Okay, this is really cool. Um, it's quite strong. Also, theoretically, you might need to add more clarification text because things like this are kind of complicated. I've talked about Team Flare gear and how I don't like that in terms of practicality, but I think as custom cards, they work very well. So I do like this a lot. It's something you couldn't play on PokeCard Maker. No, not PokeCard. PokeCardMaker.net is where these are made. On PTG Sim, which is where I believe when we play with these, we'll be playing with them. There are other things. There's Tabletop Simulator, but that's not free. And there's Untap. Untap's kind of wonky. Pretty much every simulator is a little weird, but that doesn't matter. That's not an issue with this card. I think this card's really cool. I'm actually gonna take a look at the Galvantula and talk about the Joltik again after. But the Galvantula here has this ability Webbed Entrance. If this card is in your hand and there are any Pokemon in play with a Joltik card attached as a Pokemon tool, you can put this card onto your bench. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Well, it's really. I was gonna say it's just like evolving, but no, you can play it turn 1. And then Electro Webbing says it does 100 for 1 lightning, put 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. I think this attack's too strong. I mean, theoretically, it's pretty clearly above where Pokemon would print an attack like this because generally they would I know it feels very strong, right? Ultimately, but it doesn't seem like broken. Pokemon generally make single pressures kind of bad, so having it above their normal damage threshold isn't crazy. But anyways, Galvantula, though, I think this attack is cool. It's kind of like how the Yveltal Froslass deck works. It's pretty similar. This is a turn 1 attacker. I think I'd probably nerf it in some manner. Potentially make Joltik only something you can do, like not on the first turn of the game. That might be what I'd do. Theoretically, you could just, you couldn't take like Donks with this because the Joltiks can't go in the same Pokemon. But I do like this. It's a pretty fun combo here. I think I might make the Galvantula 2 energies like lightning colors or something. It doesn't matter that much though. But this ability on the Joltik I really like in terms of damage output. It's pretty strong, but I don't think it's like super. Well, actually, no. I think it's kind of insane. I mean, it's not like broken, but like it's quite strong. It's a basic Pokemon that places 2 damage counters before your opponent's turn, and then it does more. It builds from there and stops them from attaching a tool there, and then yeah, it's pretty annoying. I'd probably make it 1 damage counter. Wait, the Pokemon, yeah, it puts damage counters on itself. Wait, the Pokemon, yeah. I want to make sure I wasn't misreading. I think it would be. I don't know if you'd say itself. I don't know. We haven't really seen anything exactly like this. Maybe we have, and maybe I'm just. Regardless. So I think this ability is really cool. I think it's kind of strong. I think, or you might need to say maybe knock out the Joltik, honestly. And then give a prize, kind of like Dusknoir. I think people kind of are annoyed with Dusknoir. I'm a little annoyed with Dusknoir as well. It's kind of annoying, right? But regardless, this Joltik is really fun. It's very strong. Like Reanchula is, I think, fair. I don't think it's like insane. I think it's stronger than Pokemon with print, but I don't think it's a problem card. Then we have Wingull and Woobat and Senrit and Furret. I believe these are separate. But yeah, these are United Wings Pokemon, and we've seen some of these. Obviously, like just putting a bunch in is kind of weird, but I don't think it's like I don't actually think it matters how many United Wings Pokemon they're printed. I don't think it's necessarily just going to make them better. If you put like a bunch of random stage shoes that don't do anything with United Wings and print like 5 of them, I don't think that's actually going to make United Wings that much better. Like it's already playing 16 Pokemon with the Dartrix, um, the Wattrel, the Murkrow, and the Flamigo. I guess this fifth one you might play. So adding a fifth one would make it like a little better, but I don't think it would make it super insane. I think like, and then if you add a sixth one, I don't think matters. I don't think you want to be playing 21 Pokemon, most of which don't really do anything for you. So yeah, I think just printing a bunch of United Wings Pokemon would be fine, and then you could pick and choose. Right now, the United Wings Pokemon, I've really liked the design of United Wings, outside of the one aspect of the fact that they're like, there's a lot of spread in the meta, which is really bad for them, and a lot of weaker single prizers. So I really like United Wings design. I haven't talked about it that much, but I think it's way better than both Night March and Mad Party. I mean, it's weaker than Night March, but I think Night March, I'm not as experienced with Night March, but it was really strong. In some ways, it kind of worked within the format, but then um, they're like super low HP. There's a lot of weird stuff with with Night March. I don't think Night March's design is like that bad. I don't think Mad Party's design is that bad either, but and I think I really like about United Wings is that the attackers are all like different and meaningful and usable, right? With Night March and Mad Party, that was not the case. But anyways, United Wings here. We got Wingull here, which is a water Pokemon. United Wings 20 for each Pokemon in your discard with United Wings attack, and this is 2 colorless, and so it does a different type coverage, which is cool. And once during your turn, you may, with the ability Scavenger Hunt, you may attach an energy from your discard pile to this Pokemon. You can't use more than one Scavenger Hunt ability each turn. This ability is solid. Um, I don't think it breaks this card. I think it's pretty fair. Theoretically, this is almost required with the rotation of double turbo, and it's not required, but it's like really good with the rotation of double turbo energy. So you can have different attackers. Right now, you have double turbo energy and you have darkness energy, and that allows you to attack with different Pokemon. But Wingull also to open that up. Nothing super crazy going on in this card, but I do like it, and I just talked about how I like United Wings. Then we got Woobat, and Woobat has 70 HP here, and we have Heartfelt Fortune. It has United Wings for 1 colors. Okay, that's very good. Ultimately, I don't know, let's take a look at this ability. Once during your turn, you may discard this Pokemon and all cards attached. If you do draw a card, this is the same ability as the Unknown with Farewell Letter, I believe. Wait, no, that might have needed to be on your bench. Unknown is like such a weird card, kind of insane, not gonna lie. And Expand is arguably broken, because yeah. So it says if it's on your bench. Oh, this text is kind of long as well, but it's fine. I mean, it's official text, but it's an older card, and it's kind of broken in the format because you can use. Maybe it's not. I was gonna say you could use it with Rescue Stretcher, and then just draw like lots. And there you have an item that's draw 2, which is kind of insane. But that's not playing this deck. But you do have Rescue Stretcher. Wait, yeah, Rescue Carrier is the one that you could use it with. Regardless, Unknown, Woobat, very similar, but obviously this Woobat has synergy with United Wings. I make its attack worse. Obviously its attack is better than any of the other United Wings Pokemon. Well, it's the same as Rowlet, or no, it's Dartrix, but Dartrix is a stage 1. So yeah, I'd probably make this 2 colorless. It's a little boring, and obviously it's better if it's 1 colorless. And the idea is like, oh, you don't attach to it, you just discard it. This Woobat's actually very good. I'd probably say. Honestly, I might say that you don't draw a card with it, like, because it's very strong in this manner. It's not like super broken, but it's clearly better than really all the other United Wings cards. arguably a worse type coverage, but it's not that bad either. But this Woobat's cool. Maybe a little too strong, but United Wings has been a little disappointing so far as well. Make it more turbo feeling and more expanded feeling, which I think is kind of what it's going for, would be cool as well. We have Senrit. This one is free. Oh, but it has 10 times multiplier, which is interesting with the same name, which I think is fair. Free retreat. What is Senrit? Senrit's not a bird, right? Like, I'm not imagining. I saw this card earlier. I didn't really look at it, but Senrit's not a bird, right? I'm pretty sure it's like a, yeah, fair, right? Regardless, this is so that's kind of weird. Um, yeah, I'm like looking this up on my phone, but it is a dormouse. What? Yeah, no, it's not a bird. They don't need to be bird. Like Woobat's also not a bird. Which is actually a little weird. Like Woobat has wings, but it's well, no, it's a I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's like not like it's not like a regular bird. But regardless, this is not a bird, which is kind of weird. And then there's a ferret, which is definitely not a bird. But whatever. It kind of looks like a bird here, but like it, yeah, anyway. That doesn't matter that much. United Coach here says if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, your Pokemon with United Wings. The United Wings attack do 10 more damage with their attacks. That is pretty good. I would almost make this not have the United Wings attack. Like, this is a guaranteed inclusion in any United Wings deck, and now make it 30 times. So let's say you got 4 of some other card. This also is United Wings. So let's say you have 4 of United Wings Pokemon plus 4 Senrits. That's 200, which is a lot. It's as opposed to 160. I feel like the Senrit's a little too strong. I do like the attack being free. But I might almost make it not have. I'm not actually sure. I think this ability is kind of cool. Just being like a stronger United Wings Pokemon in the discard, giving more value. But ultimately, and it's like I like the attack. I do like these different things going on with it. I feel like the ability is a little strong. It's not like super interesting either, but it's not like bad having this priority United Wings Pokemon. And then I don't know. It's interesting though. I think this is a very strong ability. As I said, it's strong. I might have to think about this one some. Let's talk about the Ferret though here. Also with free retreat, which I think is a little. I don't know too much about Ferret in Senrit. Do they Sentret? I've like never seen anyone play a Sentret. So yeah, it's usually does not have free retreat. These don't, and I assume Ferret doesn't. You don't have to follow what everything else does. But I feel like a lot of Pokemon of the United Wings Pokemon would make sense with free retreat, and because they don't, I wouldn't give it to these either. In some sense, it makes it like more fair to play down and incentivizes that, and I don't hate that with the center here. And these Pokemon definitely don't see very much love either. But regardless, where it says once during your turn, you may discard a Pokemon with the United Wings attack from your hand, then draw 3. You can't use more than 1 United draw per turn. Poltergeist had a Poltergeist had a very similar ability. This is it. And you could use Moltres ability as well, but you wouldn't really use that. I think these are a little too strong. I'd probably nerf them. I'm not sure. Like the ability obviously needs to be here for this Pokemon, but I'd change the name to not United Wings. I'd change it to like United, or like somewhat United. I don't know. But then obviously it just adds 10, but it does have the attack, and then has this strong evolution, which I also wouldn't give the United Wings attack. I'd probably give it, again, something that's not United Wings. It could be like the same effect as United Wings with the attack. This gets like really weird if you just add a bunch of United Wings Pokemon. I think these are very strong, but I don't hate them either. I mean, United Wings being better, I would not mind seeing either. Flutterwing EX with the ability. This is like completely different, by the way. These are not United Wings cards. And we got Flutterwing EX with the 190 HP. It's an ancient Pokemon. The like finish looks a little weird. It's supposed to be like shiny, but it doesn't really look shiny. It looks like kind of muddy, which is kind of weird. Not sure exactly why that is. I know it has to do with how it's like made. I think the effect is kind of cool, but it looks a little weird as well. But then we have Paradox. I don't really care about the art though. Paradox Curse though says if any of your ancient Pokemon that have an Ancient Booster Energy Capsule attached take damage from an attack or an effect of an attack, you may put 2 damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon. I'm reading the ability. I think because damage counters aren't damage and other effects aren't damage, so you couldn't really take damage from the effect. Maybe you could. That's pretty rare. I assume you want this to like stop damage counters. Would you want this to stop poison? Presumably, obviously, this wouldn't interact with something like if your opponent just like sleeps you or something with an attack. Regardless, I think there's some like kind of weird like wording stuff. Attacks and effects of attacks get really complicated as well, but whatever. So that's like pretty cool, kind of thematic with ancient Pokemon with Ancient Booster Energy Capsule increasing HP. So then you're kind of encouraging your opponent to hit into you, and this would stack as well. So that is pretty strong. Well, not pretty strong. It's like it's solid. And it's cool. I do like this ability. And then you see Flutterfunk here for 3 energy, 2 which are psychic. Just 110, move up to 3 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to one of your from one of your ancient Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon to play. This is kind of cool. Yeah, I mean this card's cool. The only thing, no, yeah, I don't really have too much to say. I think this card's fun. A little awkward, like energy typing. Like it's kind of hard to power up with other ancient Pokemon because obviously they are normally in Pokemon that like it's probably Darkness Energy, right? That's like what the most of the ancient Pokemon attacking are. Maybe I mean Vegapult, yes, is ancient, but whatever. I think Fluttermane is definitely a cool card. I might actually make it 2 colors with the attack, and I don't think that would make it too strong. And that'd be more payable. And then you also have Fighting Energy. Fighting Energy is in a lot of ancient Pokemon as well, but I do like this card. Then we have Brute Bonnet. Oh, this is also ancient. So this has the ability Spore Store, and it's 3 retreat to 20 HP grass basic. I almost want to say this should have more HP. But anyways, once during a turn, if either player, and 220 is fine, but if either player's active Pokemon is poisoned, you may draw 2 cards. And then you can't use more than 1 Spore Store ability each turn. Okay, so obviously this synergizes with the Brute Bonnet, which poisons, and then you have Mushroom Hijinks, 130 for grass colors. You may, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. You may also make your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed. If you do, if one of your Pokemon used Mushroom Hijinks during your last turn, this attack can't be used. Wait, that's weird. So you use it and then it can't be used. I think the wording's kind of, it's like you can't use it back to back if you paralyze. That's the idea. I think you could, this should be reworded so it's like if you didn't use Mushroom Hijinks last turn, you may make your, yeah, if you, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like the wording's off, but I think you could say if you didn't use Mushroom Hijinks last turn, you may make your opponent's Pokemon paralyzed. Something like that. I'm not sure. It's a little weird, but regardless, you shouldn't be able to like always paralyze. This kind of idea here, which is a pretty common theme in Pokemon. And yeah, this card's cool. Obviously, synergy with the ability and the attack. Poison's like it's a Brute Bonnet thing. It's not really an ancient thing, but the main ancient Pokemon and one of the main ancient Pokemon in the game right now is Brute Bonnet. It's not the main one, but it is one that sees play and is the main poison Pokemon in the game. Certainly, Pokemon inflicting poison, I should say. Definitely think this card is cool as well. Then we have Torkoal EX. Also, I don't remember who submitted this card. Your cards are like cropped kind of weird. Well, no, they're not like they're cropped like really weird. Like I don't know why this white box is here. I believe this white box is actually transparent. But then I don't know. There's something kind of weird with it. The images are really big, so I don't know. I will if we do end up adding these to this set, I'll need to scale those down. Which I gotta figure out. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna add them to the set, as I said earlier, or to like play with them. But anyways, disintegrating power here. It's Torkoal EX 210 HP. All of your Pokemon's attacks, except for your Torkoal EX, can attack for 1 less energy. Okay, you may choose the energy, so energy of any type as well, or colors. Ruby Vengeance, though, says it's a 10 multiplier, fire, fighting. Oh, it's a it's a stellar as well. I didn't really comprehend that. I guess I just wasn't thinking. But fire, fighting metal, and it says this attack does 10 damage for each card in your discard pile. If you have no bench Pokemon, this attack does 20 damage for each card in your discard pile. Okay, this is interesting. Um, and I guess 10 times is the right multiplier. I can't really think of other cards like this. You could just add 10 plus and say they get us 10 more for each or 20 more. But this is fine. I can't think of any cards. If there are any cards like that where it's like 10 times or 20 times, tell me down below. But regardless, yeah, this is pretty interesting as an attack. It's like solid. I feel like it's fair. It's not great. No, this should have more than free retreat, right? And being Torkoal. You've got like three, two. I don't know. Torkoal also hasn't had the best cards. So I can't think of these too much. Yeah, like two or three. Is fine. Yeah, probably I guess two is normal. But regardless, you'd have that, and I give it more HP. I give it like 230, maybe 240. 230 is probably right. Just HP is like a little on the higher end. I feel like you want to, being a solid Pokemon, it's kind of awkward to balance. This ability actually is like super broken because it can stack. I think it should say, I don't know. This ability is, wasn't really thinking about it too much. This ability is like super insane. I think this ability needs to be like toned down or put on an evolution. I think if this was put on a stage 2, it would work. I think put on stage 1, it would still be very good. And I think you should make it not stack as well. Like you could just, so right now, if you're doing this, you could just like play down a bunch of Torkoal EXs and then attack with like Pikachu EX every single turn, something for free, which is obviously kind of broken. So I'd probably make it stage 2. Put this ability on stage 2. The attack's fine. Stellar attacks are kind of hard to balance, and I don't think it's an issue if it made itself attack for cheaper either. In this case, I think that would be fine. This ability is cool. I think abilities like this are fun, allowing for more different options, but I think the ability is too strong by a lot. Then we have Eternal Flower Floette, and we have Ultimate Weapon, and yeah, ACs and dollars. Those cards are not rendering at all. Eternal Flower Floette. Oh, it should say E. Yeah, actually, I guess it got cut off. There's some weird stuff with Pokécard Maker, with some. Oh, it does. No, maybe it does. No, maybe it doesn't. Regardless, it's if it is, it's cut off. But it is an EX. 290 is like basic 290. I mean, that's still really high. Put this Pokemon into play only with the effect of Ultimate Weapon. Okay. And then Ruinous Blast for Psychic Colorless, 150. If you played AZ's Knowledge from your hand during this turn, this attack does 130 more damage. Okay. So yeah, let's take a look at these other cards. AZ's Knowledge is a supporter card during your turn. If you use the effect of Ultimate Weapon, your opponent must wait until the end of your turn to take any prize cards as a result. Okay. If you knock out your opponent's active Pokemon during this turn, you can't take those prize cards. Okay. Let's take a look at Ultimate Weapon and see if this makes things make more sense. So you got this stadium here, which is once during each player's turn, they may knock out one of their Pokemon EX in play. Okay. If they do, they may put any Pokemon except one with the same name as the Pokemon that was knocked out from their discard pile onto their bench and attach up to 2 energy cards from it. Okay, this stadium's are really interesting. Pokemon EX is what you need to knock out as well. So you knock this out. And then you put Eternal Flower Floette into play, which is a very strong Pokemon. It's like a stage 1 to stage 2 level power level Pokemon here, and you do that. And then you get the energy on it, and it just like kind of pays it. And then you also have this attack. 150 isn't that much, right? But 280 is good. 280 is quite good. And then AC's Knowledge is what lets you hit 280, and then it says your opponent must wait until the end of your turn to take any prize cards as a result, but they still get them. And then, so that'd be at the same time you take the prize, so it could lead to like a tie. And then if you knock out your opponent's active, oh, they don't take the prize cards at all if you knock out your opponent's active. Okay. So this is kind of interesting. I think this is a little complicated. Like it's kind of, I think Ultimate Weapon's a cool stadium here. Definitely interesting. Like it's it's like very strong and but it's fair as well. I think this is cool. Like it's a big price to pay, but you get something cool. It's not like what's it the really bad grass Pokemon. I'm blanking. Fortress CX. There we go. Fortress CX catch and strays as well. But regardless, Ultimate Weapon. I like the stadium. I'm generally not a massive fan of cards interacting specifically with each other, with like only one card. I think this card's kind of cool. Um, it kind of be cool. I know thematically like these all tie together, but it might be cool if we saw like another Pokemon here as well to take advantage of AZ's knowledge. I personally don't love AZ's knowledge. It kind of undoes the effect of Ultimate Weapon that's self-knocking out. So that's what I'm not a massive fan of. Eternal Flower Floette is cool, I guess. Nothing super crazy. It's like kind of like Palafiniax, a little more gimmicky, I guess. I'm not actually sure if it's more. No, it's probably not more gimmicky. It's around the same level of gimmicky in terms of the abilities, but also you don't have attacks that are super interesting. I do like the stadium. I think the Pokemon's cool. Nothing like super crazy here, but it's cool. I think the supporter is a little weird though. Um, yeah, I might say that you could play this Pokemon without Ultimate Weapon, but it's like much worse in some manner. But if you do use Ultimate Weapon, that's way better. I'm not sure. These are a cool set of Pokemon though. And then you have Stakes of Disaster. This is separate. Oh, these might all go together. Oh, okay. I'm having issues loading cards. There are the four, and then that is separate. Okay. Actually, let's take a look at these first. We'll end up with the set of the Ruinous for I don't remember what they're called, but the Tingaloo and stuff. Anyway, Future Arena here says every Pokemon with a rule box in play costs one more prize card. I guess once knocked out. I think it should like it should say if you like knock out a Pokemon EX, your opponent takes or if you knock out your opponent's Pokemon EX, you take an extra prize. At any point during the game, either player may discard the stadium. If they do, their opponent takes two prizes. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Um, Yeah, I really like the second thing. I think it's kind of bad. Like, um, I assume cost one more prize card is referring to getting knocked out, right? If it means something else, then um, yeah, then I'm confused about that. But regardless, you have Future Arena here, and that's kind of interesting. The downside is kind of cool, but or like the downside of the having something we could just discard the stadium is cool. Also, sorry if my volume is weird. And then sorry. Okay. Um, then you have Ancient Battlegrounds, the Ancient Stadium, and it says whenever you put a Pokemon, whenever you put a damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon, put two on instead. That's cool. Like with that might be kind of insane. Like with Frostmaw, or no, with Frostlass, that's building up a lot, and like Dragapult that's building up a lot. With Uxie, that's like building up a lot. But this is cool. I think damage counters being placed. Um, Wait, so if you're doing an Uxie, would that be four? I think so. I think that would be four. And then, which is strong, but I don't know if that would be super broken either. I think a lot of these decks are kind of weak, especially against single prize. Like I think it would just kind of destroy the decks they're already good against, and be fair into the decks they're um, kind of bad into, which are most decks. So I don't think this is absolutely crazy. But then it says at any point during your turn, this card is in the discard pile. You put three damage counters on each of your Pokemon. If you put any damage counters, this Pokemon put the stand back into play. Okay, this is cool. Kind of the opposite of the future one, which is cool. I think the future one, I'd make it so they take one prize, or they give up one prize, or maybe not. Maybe I'd make it. No, that'd be fine. And I think this ace spec is kind of cool. You kind of recover it as well, which I do like. I do like the stadium kind of countering. Or is this another stadium? Anyways, yeah, kind of countering EXs, which EXs are kind of annoying, right? But yeah, I think the Ancient Battlegrounds one's fun. I'd probably make it just put one more extra on, but that might be kind of broken as well. I'm not sure. This stadium's pretty good. Might be too good, but I don't hate like damage counter spread either. Then Stakes of Disaster says you can only play this if you discard two cards from your hand. It's another race spec. Search your deck for four Darkness Pokemon and one Stadium card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Okay, that is cool. I think this has to do with the other cards, though. Let's take a look at those. Unsealed Shrine of Paldea says once during a turn, if the only Pokemon you have in play are Darkness Pokemon, you put all of your cards in your hand into the Lost Zone face down. After drawing your cards during your next turn, return those cards placed into the lost zone by this effect back into your hand. Wait, why would you want to do that? Okay, let's take a look at the other cards. I should really look at these all at once. Okay, Beer's Duplicity. Each player draws 4. I think this is cool, pretty fair, pretty balanced. I think it's actually kind of bad. I don't think it's like super. I don't think it's that bad. It might be actually. Would it be too good? I'm not sure. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. So assuming it's just like normally each player draws 4, your opponent drawing 4 is good for them. And drawing 4 for you is like okay, but you're using your supporter and you're helping out your opponent a lot. On the other hand, there are some times when you want to force your opponent to draw, and this would be absolutely broken. So I think the supporter should make your opponent draw 2. And that would be fair. That would be a little more balanced just in general. Forcing your opponent to draw 4 either is really bad for you or really bad for your opponent in niche circumstances. And I think that would be that's not really what you're looking for. It's like a really big thing. But I don't hate the supporter either. Not really related to the other things, I don't think. But then we have these 4 are all dual type as well. And PokemonMaker.net, you can make Pokemon like half darkness for whatever reason. It's only darkness. It has to do with like older mechanics, but I wish it was every type. I don't think it is though. But anyways, Ancient Grudge says if you have less cards in your hand than your opponent, neither player can use trainer cards or abilities of Pokemon that puts cards in their hand or discard pile into their deck. Okay, it's interesting. Also the Stadium, it says it works even if it's removed from play. Which is important because you don't want all your cards just chilling in the lost zone forever if the Stadium gets bumped. Then Inscribed Immortality for 3 darkness, 1/10. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, you have less cards in hand than their opponent, take 1 more prize. Okay. And then we have Ting-Lu EX, which is fighting darkness. This means that you do hit double weakness, or different weaknesses. You're not hitting quad weakness, but yeah, that's cool. And then Vessel of Tyranny says, well, your opponent has more cards in hand than you. Your opponent's Pokemon in play in this card and in their hand have no abilities except for any Ting-Lu EX and Palafin EX. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I guess that makes it so that you can't just cheat out Palafin. I feel like that doesn't matter that much. If they could just cheat out Palafin, I feel like that's fine. And kind of funny. But anyways, then Avaricious, Head Slam, 240, but it does 20 less for each card in your opponent's hand. Okay, that's kind of fun. Kind of cool to make it not like super broken with the card thing. And then you have Chien-Pao EX, and it says for Frostbite, for 1 darkness, it does 10 and 20 more for each of your darkness Pokemon in play, or both yours and your opponents. And then Blades of Vengeance does 280 for 5. This attack costs 1 less for each cards in your opponent's hand. Okay. And then you have Chi-Yu EX, which has 180 HP here. And it says Beads of Envy. Once per turn, you may draw cards until you have 1 more card in your hand than your opponent's. You can only use 1 Beads of Envy ability per turn. And then Burning Jealousy, 50 for 2 darkness, and 40 more for each card in your opponent's hand. I kind of like these. Obviously, they're very thematically similar. It's kind of interesting how Ting-Lu's EX's attack wants it's less for each card in your hand. So this is hitting 240 a lot. I think these are a little strong. It's kind of hard to tell. They're kind of awkward to pay as well. I want to be using like dark patches and stuff, or really dark patches. I feel like it'd be cool if these could take better advantage of their dual type. The dual typing is cool. It's definitely a fun thing, but ultimately not something that I think is that meaningful. It's something that I really wish we saw Pokemon that were dual type where that was very meaningful. Maybe we have like a long time ago, but right now we don't really see it. We just see it occasionally, and it's kind of boring. But regardless, this is cool. This Stadium is fun. Ultimately, I think it's kind of insane. Well, obviously you only use in this deck, but then you just use it, and it's not like that big of an issue, because you just use it like during your turn, and then it's like the downside isn't bad because you'll just do it right before you attack, and then it just makes your attacks broken. So it's kind of like activating this ability. I wish there was some risk or downside to it. It's not really that bad. Especially with like the fact that the cards will go back. Also, this could be kind of broken with like Lost Zone stuff. Theoretically, I don't know if these are really made to be in the same format together. Oh, and then you have this item which gets like bunch of darkness Pokemon and your I'll close this. This isn't like really related much at all. Well, I guess no, this is related. Forcing your opponent to draw cards. I wish that they trying to think these through, but oh yeah, Beads of Envy is like kind of insane. It's because then you could just like ditch your hand and then force it and then just draw much cards, especially with the Briar supporter, then or Briar supporter, then you're able to, instead they have 3 cards in hand, that's small, but like possible. And you play it, then they have 7 in hand, and now you've drawn 4 cards. Then you like play these cards and do whatever. And then Stakes of Disaster. No. Unsealed Shrine says that. Also Stakes of Disaster I feel like isn't necessary. Like it's fine, it obviously helps out the deck. It's a common as an ace spec, which is interesting. But no, it doesn't really matter. But I don't think it's super interesting. It's like very niche. It's kind of interesting with some cards, but it's not that interesting. I feel like ace specs should be really meaningful, and especially as custom cards. I've seen a lot of custom ace specs. We're taking a look at a few in this video, but regardless, Unsealed Shrine of Paldea is like it puts a bunch of cards in your lost zone, so theoretically you could just like Mirage Gate like turn 1 as well, which I don't think is intended, and that's kind of broken. Well, actually no, that'd be really hard to do because you can only have Darkness Pokemon in play, and it's kind of just putting them in the lost zone because that's the place to put them, because like where else would you do it? You could set it aside or something, and that could be fine, but whatever. I feel like the stadium should be something with some sort of risk to it. I feel like the stadium isn't super interesting. I do like the Pokemon as like where you want to have small hands and your opponent to have big hands, and I do like that. This like mechanic, I feel like the stadium just enables it too easily. I'd actually remove the stadium and really all the support outside of the Pokemon themselves, then have you yourself have to figure out how to get these smaller hands. And I'd also probably have the cards make better use of their dual typing. Make them at least like a decent amount colorless, maybe. I'm not sure. What are their typings? Doesn't really matter. None of these have type specific. Well, no. Chi EX that would have Magma Mason. Tinglu EX would have Gutsy Pickaxe. You could have those and probably make them partially colorless and kind of leave them on their own so that you have to figure out how you want to do it yourself. But I do like the concepts of having small hand, your opponent having a big hand, and this hand difference. And I do like the attackers. But anyway, that's all for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. Consider checking out my Discord server for other custom cards and vote on the ones you want to see me cover. But also submit your own, and like the video, subscribe, and join the channel as well. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'm excited to see you in the next episode.